Hi, Big Brother. This is your little sister. I just wanted to say hi and Merry Christmas, and I hope you're having a good holiday. We really miss you here, and we really love you, and we're all sending our prayers and thoughts to you and your troops, and I hope that everything is okay, and I hope that you guys are treating each other well, and hopefully you will not be in this situation next year and will be spending it with us. We can't wait to celebrate with you, and we're saving it all until you get back. We're going to have like 5 holidays in one, so I love you very much, and I miss you terribly. Please get home safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.
A year ago, June. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get this started.
So pretty.
Since I have a bald head now, the hat doesn't stand well.
You'll get used to it.
Yeah. But thank you everyone for coming. According to my mom, this is one of my sister's favorite places, so I mean, it's beautiful. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with my little sister Jazz. Bear with me. Trying, Mom. I come here today filled with anger and unbridled rage. Anger in the fact that my sister did not grasp the beautiful star that she brought into this world in the form of her daughter, Cheyenne. Hold that child and never let go. Anger towards how she did not take her health seriously after Cheyenne was born, thinking she was indestructible. Anger at my sister Jasmine Melinda Parkins for not realizing the absolute miracle that she was to every person around her. Finally, anger in the fact I wasted my precious time left with my little sister, arguing and not understanding her plight. I am filled with unbridled rage towards life for throwing every cruel aspect of existence at my sister. From bullying, sexual assault, death of her infant child Tristan upon birth decades ago, and finally, repeated domestic violence perpetuated by the father of her daughter. But he and I are of the same cloth, and I cannot cast any stones. The only difference being I sought help, got sober, and stopped being a victim-blaming piece of shit. He has not. There is a stupid, stupid saying, I do not wish this pain upon my worst enemy. I absolutely do wish they feel this pain and suffer in hell with it. Now, what is a failure of a big brother to do? A big brother who cannot protect his amazing little sister from the violence of this life. Does he enact cruel vengeance in her beloved name upon this miserable world? No. Today, I honor my mother's wishes and celebrate the life of my little sister Jazz. At the very onset, it was always my mother, me, and Jasmine, our father non-existent. One of my fondest memories of the two of us early on was when my mom took us both to see Alien at the drive-in in this brown, weird-ass hippie van she drove, even though she's a tech sergeant in the Air Force. Needless to say, scared little children would ensue that evening. Jazz was the unquestioned leader of us two, and at 3 years old, led the charge of her and I into my mom's room at 0:30, both of us frantically trying to wake her, screaming and crying. What does our mother do? She pretends to be a zombie, hands outstretched, rising from the bed slowly, making a horrible moan, and then standing, shuffling towards us, wailing. Jazz and I jump on our mom's legs, yelling for her to stop and wake up, but she kept plodding along, straight face, making awful zombie noise, dragging our scared asses down the hall until she could no longer keep from laughing, scooped us up, and soothed us back to sleep. By the time we left Mather Air Force Base to move to Texas, to be closer to my mom's family, I had talked my little sister into eating a bee, which promptly stung her tongue, Jazz had talked me into eating a snail later. We both tried to hatch eggs promptly by keeping them warm with our ass, and yes, they all broke immediately. And finally, I dropped a brick on her pinky toe, which she would never, ever let me live down, and I think I did it in retaliation for the snail. My poor mother had her more than her hands full at our tender young age, and Jazz would be leading the charge the whole way and into our future. I am reminded of a humorous little quote, "Here comes trouble." And as I begin to talk about growing up in West Texas with my tenacious little sister, with Jazz, it was always "here comes big trouble," and followed by me, quiet trouble. Even though I'm the oldest, but that is how it would be until I left for the Marines, following her lead because she was everything I was not. Outgoing, fearless, demanding, stubborn, tough, and downright unstoppable. Upon arrival in that mesquite-ridden land of West Texas, there are not a lot of opportunities for a single mother with 2 young kids, fresh off 12 years honorable service to this nation, still continuing on in the reserves, toting a bachelor's degree in biology. The lack of opportunities would not stop my mother from trying to provide a better life for Jazz and me. My sister and I would end up attending 4 different elementary schools, 3 middle schools, 3 different high schools for Jazz, 4 for me. It's a long story. Needless to say, she and I had our beautiful misadventures together along the way. At one stop in Midland, we lived in a small shack-like structure in an alley. And every time a garbage truck would come down to collect trash, we thought the end was near, and we would be squished like a pancake. But we would still traipse carefree through the landlord's backyard, looking at dried catfish heads hanging from the clothesline, thinking they belonged to young children, and our landlords were witches. My sister always daring me to touch the shriveled fish heads. We struggled growing up, but I always had my sisters. Always. Once during that year, Jazz and I would go into the circus, wanted to go to the circus, and would not stop bothering my mom to go. And in that tiny little shack, we had her cornered. And damn, well, that was a mistake. My mom grudgingly relented on her terms, and we had to walk because we did not have a car. And I kid you not, it was 4 miles there and back. As we were walking towards the convention center in Midland on a hot summer day, and of course Jazz was lagging behind, my mom would say, "Hurry up, you wanted to go to the circus," in the parent tone I now use on my own kids. Jazz stopped dead in her tracks, all stubborn 5-year-old like, stomping her feet and pouting. "I did not, this was Jacob's idea." She and I would joke for years that we remember shit from that circus, only the balls hot Texas heat and the walk to and from. I'll give you an example of the heroic bravery my sister displayed from the get-go. When I was in 3rd grade and Jazz 2nd, we attended an after-school daycare like most kids do with single, hardworking parents. I hated going because I knew what awaited me there, an abusive employee who hated children, especially boys. He would single me out and 3 others, and then choke us until we were gasping for air in front of the other kids and employees, citing disciplinary reasons, or push us in the swings too high and fast until we were launched to the ground and injured. My beautiful, heroic sister would be the one to finally put an end to the abuse, telling my mom one day when she picked us up, effectively putting a stop to the workers' employment. During the confrontation in the office, the man tried to weasel his way out of the accusation, blaming us kids for being undisciplined. My sister was having none of it. She began to cry and yell, "You choked my brother," as loud as she could. If it were up to my mom that day in the office with management, that man would be dead. In today's world, he'd be in prison for decades. My mom and the other families would be millionaires. That is my sister, a fierce protector of all that she loves. My mother would eventually move us up one more tiny rung on the social ladder as she struggled to provide for Jazz and me. As far as my memory serves, my mom was always working 2 jobs and still serving honorably in the reserves. She, a true warrior. If you want to know where my sister got her unrelenting strength, it was from our diehard of a mom. We would spend most of the summers with our 2 younger cousins, brothers Josh, may he rest in peace, and Matt Parkinson. Of course, Josh and I would always be with each other, much to Matt's chagrin. He was always wanting to be with the older boys, but always stuck with Jazz. He would get so mad, his little face turning bright red. "I don't want to be stuck with her, y'all." Jasmine would reply, "Shut up, Matt. What makes you think I want to be stuck with you?" That was my sister. Quick as a whip and would never take shit. One of our moves landed us in San Angelo, and that is where Jazz would find her best friend for life in Melissa. I would not find mine until serving overseas in Iraq. I had good friends, but none were constant in my childhood, none except for my little sister Jazz. She was always my best friend growing up, without fail. Jazz led, I followed, and I enjoyed every damn chaotic moment. Our summers in San Angelo were spent riding on our bikes to Lake Nasworthy, or Lake Nasty Water as we called it, with the Covington and Mitchell kids on our own little summertime gang, swimming for hours and then heading back at dusk to get home for dinner, the way life is supposed to be growing up. I can still remember her smiling face as we rode home together. After a long day jumping off the tower into the water. Our friends having already turned off to their houses, it was just me and Jazz. The last half mile or so, those were pure, solitary, enjoyable moments with my sister, and I wish I'd have appreciated them so much more. Lifeless moments that are to live now in heart-wrenching memories as I break and let the rivers of tears cast down my tired face. The years would fly by with my sister, and humorous trouble was brewing. For example, I'm a 16-year-old quiet young man just getting through my sophomore year at Cristobal High outside of San Angelo. Jazz, a 15-year-old hell-raising freshman at John Glenn Junior High. One early spring night, my mom is in Austin finally landing her dream job and locking on the logistics of our move. Again, times were tough, so we stayed behind. My mother expecting her older son to handle his younger sister, and holy shit, did I drop the ball on that one. I got talked into allowing Melissa and their best friend Amy into staying the night. Needless to say, insanity would follow. Suddenly, 0:30, there comes a thunderous rapping at the front door of the duplex, and everyone knows that not cops. Sure enough, there's an intimidating officer towering over me. "Son, do you know where your car is?" "Yes, sir, in the driveway," I answered nervously. He says to me more sternly, "Try again." Now I'm scared shitless, and I look past him to the driveway, and yep, my car is gone. The officer then goes, "Yep," registering the bewilderment on my face and reading my mind. He then asks, "Do you know where your sister is?" "Yes, sir, in her bedroom with her two friends sleeping." My fear of what my mom will do when she gets back starts creeping over me. Try again. Now the officer's having fun with his game. I run down the hall to my sister's bedroom, fling open the door, turn on the light in a hurry. Amy jumps up petrified, and I yell, "Where the hell is Jazz and Melissa?" She screams bloody murder back to me. "They stole your car!" The amused police officer shouts from the front door, "Son, you need to come with me." "Yes, sir." I skulk to the front, knowing I'm fucked, and join the officer in the front of the squad car. As he drives, I start blubbering our whole life story about how our mother is a struggling single mom, my father is a piece of shit and abandoned us, and all the places we moved. I mean, I'm covering everything. He turns and looks down at me. "Young man, save it. We heard the exact same from your sister. At least your stories are consistent." And then he tells me to relax. The officer brings me to the scene. My car is pulled over in front of a Circle K. Doors open, trunk pop, lights of cop cars illuminating the scene, and a cuffed Melissa and Jazz bawling their eyes out. As soon as I get out of the squad car, her and Melissa both start blabbering, "Jake, we're so sorry." I honestly didn't know what to say in that moment. I was frozen. I look up at the police officer and I ask in shock, "What happens now?" "Well, they've been drinking, underage, and stole a car. What do you think should happen?" he tells me. The world is crumbling in now, and I'm so damn scared for those two and the hellstorm that will come with my mother. Sensing my fear and the uncontrollable crying of my sister Melissa, he nicely states like Santa Claus, "Come early. I'm going to let you drive them home, so you can yell at those two, and we'll follow you there." I nearly jumped up and hugged the man, but was too damn scared. All I could say was "Thank you, sir," over and over again. The girls get in the back, I get in the driver's seat, and am immediately in a massive puddle. I look to the officer. "What's this? Did they spill their drinks?" Son, your sister's friend pissed herself when we pulled them over. Have a good night. He laughs heartily all the way back to his squad car. Melissa whispers like a mouse, Jake, I'm so sorry. Jazz looks at me defiantly. See, you should have just drove us when I asked. This is all your fault. That was only the beginning of the roller coaster. That was our high school years. My amazingly determined sister. Jasmine always had friends, trying to fit in with the popular crowd at every stop, using her looks and stubbornness to bully her way to the top of the pecking order. You're not my sister's brother without having your ass kicked a couple times trying to defend her honor. Me trying to disappear into high school sports mediocrity. Even though she strived for popularity, my sister was always my biggest fan at anything I attempted. My mom, my biggest supporter. That's my brother, Jazz would be. I cannot state this fact enough. Jazz was truly my best friend growing up. The first time I got wasted was because of my sis. I vowed never again. That would not last. I immediately told my sister about the first time I made out with a girl, although it was her friend that I was kissing on. And I couldn't wait to brag to my best friend Jazz about eventually becoming a man, although she slapped me for not using a condom and it being with an older woman. From Austin, her and my mother would settle in Sweetwater, reuniting my sister with her best friend Melissa. I would join them later to finish my senior year. It's complicated. Again, I tried to maintain a low profile on arrival, but as Jazz's brother and the new kid, I never stood a chance. I would do my usual, blending into athletics, becoming a scrub varsity baseball player and a pretty decent track star. My sister was always repeating her boasting crowd mantra at all my events. That's my brother. Which brings me to a final fond memory with her from high school. Our mile relay team had made the regionals, and the track meet was at Angelo State University. By far the biggest stadium for me to run in, and our mile relay team had a strong shot at making state. We came in ranked third and only needed a place in the top two. If each of us ran our best times, we would place first and move on to the state finals with ease. So, the Friday night before regionals, I wanted nothing but sleep and recovery from the day's practice. My mom was working her usual second job, night shift at a postal distribution center. My sister out with Melissa and their friends. The house was all mine to enjoy, which did not happen often with Jazz and my mom during our teenage years. I shower and head to bed, and just as I'm getting comfortable, there's a knocking at the front door. What the hell? I grumbled, making my way to the door, and who do I see? It's Jazz. I go, why are you knocking? I ask her. She smiles her devious smile. Because, big brother, I want to ask you a huge favor, and don't say no. Oh shit, the only thought going through my mind. By now, I knew when trouble was coming with her. What? I only asked her, tired and wanting to go to bed. Can we have the party here tonight? She sheepishly asked, still grinning from ear to ear with a twinkle of sisterly love. She knew how to play her big brother like a fiddle. If you know anything about West Texas high school parties, you're always trying to stay one step ahead of the local sheriffs. Our rental house was the perfect location, just outside the local jurisdiction and too far out for the sheriffs to patrol. Plus, a working mother on night shift, what could go wrong? I stick to my discipline and say no. I have regionals the next day. She tries to convince me a bit longer, but I remain vigilant. Besides, I didn't feel like cleaning all the mess up before my mom got home that morning. Jazz calls me a dick and skulks off into the darkness. I close the door and start to head back to bed, but there comes another damn knock at the front door. I'm angry and ready to yell at my sis, but when I open the door, it's Jazz and Melissa, with every girl from the senior and junior class, and in unison, as if in some church choir, all sing, "Please, Jake," in perfect harmony. My sister looks at me triumphantly, knowing I'm going to say yes, and she has won. Fine, I relent to my little sister, much to her satisfied amusement. Jazz immediately turns and shouts into the pitch black, "He said yes." There is a thunderous boom of applause and cheers coming from the darkness. I look past the girls and see the whole damn senior class waiting for the word go. Everyone piles into our tiny rental out in the middle of nowhere like a tsunami crashing ashore. Sure enough, to my dismay, the rest of the model relay team files into the house as well. This is not good. Chaos ensues over the following hours. I'm throwing up in the bathtub. Two of my friends fight each other and crash through the sheetrock from the hallway into my bedroom. Everyone is completely wasted, and my sister is playing Lord of the Flies up on the bar, orchestrating it all. Thankfully, it did not last. My mom came home early. Everyone scattered like roaches when the lights came on. She then tries to nudge her passed out son awake, which I then promptly woke up and threw up all over her shoes. What the hell happened? She screams at me. Ask Jazz, I mumble and throw up some more. She's not here, you are, my mom bellows at me. It is then I realize Jasmine had made her escape, leaving me to answer for the crime. Damn it, I scream in my aching head. And no, we did not win regionals the next day. I did not think my sister's adoration for me could grow anymore. That is until I joined the Marine Corps. It is then she put me on a pedestal as hero, which I always hated. I would graduate company honor man, and she and my mother would get to sit with the base commander in the grandstands. Her pride for me that day was expressed in the form of a radiant, boastful smile, and her heart swelled knowing I had brought her honor. Her pride for my service did not stop once I left the Marine Corps after my first enlistment pre-Iraq. Jasmine helped me attain a job one weekend as security for the biker bar she worked at in Florence, Arizona, as I was struggling to find work as a displaced infantry Marine. That was my sister, always looking after her big brother. It should have been the other way around. On that weekend, it just so happened to be a Hells Angels bike run through Florence and a massive party at the bar afterwards. My job was to protect the bar's interests, property, and such, but I was under no circumstances to interfere with Hells Angels business or break up their brawls. I was only to shadow one of their own and let them handle the fights. If I was to interfere or lay a hand on one of the bikers, it would have been the end of story for me, and yes, there were a shit ton of fights, and hell no, I did not interfere. At one point, the bouncer I'm shadowing and a group of his buddies are all bullshitting. They're asking me about the Marines, and I'm regaling them with stories of boat raids and about pissing myself to stay warm in the cold Pacific surf. The Hells Angels are loving every bit of my tales of misery, laughing and giving me respect for serving. It was much appreciated. Eventually, Jasmine comes out of the bar to check on her big brother and instantly sees I'm surrounded by a bunch of rough bikers. She comes storming over like a hurricane and gets right in the middle of us and yells, "Hey, my brother's a Marine, boat company. He will kill you all." I look over the head at the bikers. Their grins start to salivate as I know now I'm a dead man. I pick up my little sister, put her over my shoulder, salute the Hells Angels, and say, "Time to go, Jazz." I have never known my sister to lose an argument or debate. I'm sure some of you know this. But I did witness the miracle of the anomaly just once. Her, my cousin Adam, may he rest in peace, and I had a mock UN debate with fictitious countries one hilarious night when I lived with Adam in Phoenix. The argument would last until the wee hours, with myself being knocked out ages ago after Jazz successfully argued she invaded my country and I was destroyed. I gave up arguing about the flaws in her tactical logic, and so my country fell to invasion. But Adam would not bow to my sister's demands or logic why her fictitious country was better than his fictitious country. So for hours I watched and laughed as his two stubborn mules went at it. Finally, my cousin pulls a tiny-ass Netherlands or Dutch flag from his computer desk and asks my sis, "Yes, but does your country have a flag?" That left Jazz speechless. He and I erupted with laughter triumphantly. Adam achieved the impossible, beating my sister in an argument. Where, how, or why my cousin had this little flag in his desk, I still to this day do not know, but it was priceless. Any argument between the two thereafter, and there were many, my cousin, when losing, would always say, "But does your country have a flag?" Jasmine would smile sheepishly, close her eyes, lower her precious head, and say lovingly, "Fuck you, Adam." The war on terror began, and I would be called back into the Marine Infantry to go to Iraq as a squad leader in 2004. It is at this point Jazz's adoration for me and the Marine Corps would be limitless. I would come home changed, we all would, but that did not diminish my sister's love and respect for me or the Marines. She was more patriotic than I was, myself jaded and disillusioned from my experience in the sandbox. One evening, her and I were talking, and I start to open up about my time over there. She being my best friend growing up, I'm hoping for a bit of consoling or compassion. But being typical Jazz, she only offered matter-of-factly, I could have done your job, but better. That did not go over well, and I stormed off after a huge blowout. But as I look back fondly now, she was right. If she had been a Marine, she could have and would have done it better. I could sit up here for hours, riveting you with tales and misadventures of my sister Jazz. Mornings before school playing Nintendo, trying to get the furthest on Mario, she would get so mad at me. The many years spent walking home together from elementary schools, getting into trouble as latchkey kids home alone. My sister always warning me when it was getting close to my mom being home. And the one time I didn't listen, my mother came home, catch me doing something stupid. Jazz's petrified face turning to me and screaming, "Run, Jacob, run!" like I'm little Forrest Gump. People always ask me where I got my speed from. That is how, at a young age, running full bore from an angry mom at the warning of my little worried sister. Jazz was my starter pistol. Or how the star running back at Sweetwater and I would sit next to my sister in geometry during the test days and blatantly cheat off of her. But this is West Texas, and you don't fail the star running back, and I was only along for the ride. I did her writing in English, and she did my math homework. We had a system. I do not graduate high school without my little sister, Jasmine. She was the one to teach me to tie well before I joined the Marines, so I would have no angry drill instructor yell at me on that uniform day. Another loving example of my little sister inadvertently watching out for her big brother. You can never play dominoes with Jazz. I'm sure some of you have. As some of you may know, because she was too damn good, and she always knew what you were going to play. Jacob, just play the 6-4. I know that's all you can do, or drop the double fives, but I'm going to score 30 off your ass regardless. My sister was so mean when she won, slamming the table like in the movies. Domino, motherfucker! God forbid you were her partner and lost. You might as well leave your manhood at Jazz's feet because she was brutal. For years, she would beg me to play. I vowed never again, and I held to that doctrine. But I did enjoy watching others fall into her domino trap. Jasmine was a brilliant gangster. Then there was my first instant home from Iraq. Jazz and I would attend a local carnival in Tucson with her then boyfriend Larry. Wish those two had made it, and some of their friends. I was wasted, as most returning grunts are, but having the time of my life thanks to my little sister, and I wanted to make her proud of her big brother as per usual. But I realize now I never needed to earn her pride. Her pride never wavered or faltered for me. I decide internally I'm going to win my little sis a prize. And we go to one of those shooting gallery stands with the air pellet rifles, where a carny screams at you, shoot out the star, win the big prize. It's a con, but I'm going to try anyway. Needless to say, I shoot out the stupid red star. The trick is to shoot the perimeter, essentially cutting out the star of the target. And the carny doesn't know what the hell to do. Apparently, he has never seen it done. Ask his coworker, and they decide to call in the carny manager. So now I have 3 carnies. I screw in my target with other clean targets to see if I left any red on the paper. A crowd has gathered because of the loud commotion behind, and lo and behold, who is that boisterous disturbance? Jazz. The whole time my sister is yelling in the background, "My brother is a Marine. He just got back from Iraq. He can hit a target from 500 meters. Give him his fucking prize." Embarrassing the hell out of Larry and myself, but what astonished me was hearing Jasmine accurately describing our rifle range. She does listen to me, my heartwarming thought in a moment. The carnies finally give up, and the park manager grudgingly tells me to pick one, pointing to the top prizes hanging off the ceiling of the stand, the prizes no one is supposed to win, or jobs will be lost. I look to my proud little sister and say, "Pick one, it's yours." Jasmine's face was priceless, looking upon her big brother with such awe and love. She doesn't pick a large stuffed animal or some weird box of crap. Jazz promptly picks the biggest radio control car I've ever seen, and that right there is my sister. Thank you. A stud. That RC car, well, she was having so much fun a couple nights later, driving it in front of her house, retelling the story to her friends. "My brother is a Marine. He won this for me." I'm rolling my eyes, laughing at my hilarious little sis, and then she promptly drove at full speed straight into the back tire of her vehicle, smashing it to pieces. She was so heartbroken, and I love her for it. The next few years would fly by. I would drink myself out of the Marine Corps, end up in Rhode Island to be near my children. She going to Southern California with my mom, bringing a beautiful surprise into this world in the form of her daughter Cheyenne in 2017. Becoming what my sister was always meant to be, a loving, devoted mother. So I will end on this final memory of my little sister, one where I did not fail as a big brother. Shortly after her joyous daughter was born, I would come visit my sister in Cheyenne as my second marriage was falling apart at their cute little apartment near the beach. My mom was there as well. The nice gathering of the three of us and this new bundle of life filled me with a warmth I had not felt in a long time. Since childhood, in fact. One beautiful Southern California evening, Jazz, myself, and the father of her child go to a local tavern right on the beach. The scene was picturesque, and I was finally feeling at peace. This was before my sobriety, and the three of us were enjoying the gorgeous scenery, when suddenly some drunk wanders over to our table, begins to talk shit to the father, and my sister gets set to defend her. As my sister gets set to defend her boyfriend, the drunk tells her to be quiet. Jazz immediately wraps her arms around the waistline of the father because he's getting ready to start at the man, but she forgot about her big brother in the booth. Everyone forgets about old Jake until it's too late, which I love. The stupid turd moseys back to his table with the other middle-aged beach bros and stuck-up beach girls, satisfied with the behavior. But what he failed to see is I had located and closed with my enemy. It's a grunt thing. And as the drunk sat down, all smiles, I was right there, smiling along violently. Finally, it's my time. I grabbed the shithead by the back of the neck in a death grip like he was a boot PFC, bring his face to within inches of my massive flowing beard, glimmering bald head, tattoos blazing on my arms, looking like I was just released from prison. Probably what he and his group were thinking as well. And I snarl calmly, "You disrespect my sister again, I'll end your life right here in front of all your fucking friends." I turn to look up at the 30-something bros. They outnumber me, which I'm used to, and expect a forthcoming beating I'm sure to take. But to my shock and awe, I think the fellas pissed themselves, and that is when one of the girls goes wide-eyed and begins to scream, "He said he's going to kill us!" The next thing I know, two huge Samoan bouncers come roaring over, snatch me up like a rag doll, and begin to escort me out. It is then it dawns on my never-wavering, tenacious little sister, where's my brother? She then promptly spots me across the bar, involved in the commotion, trying to deny I said I would kill anyone so the cops don't come and arrest me. I'm on probation at the time. My Spitfire of a sister suddenly comes roaring to life, pushes her boyfriend out of the way forcibly, barrels into the fracas like a rodeo bull. "My brother's a Marine. He went to Iraq. He will kill you all." I pick up my little sister, put her over my shoulder, salute the pouncers, and say, "Time to go, Jazz." So what happens now? A part of my soul was extinguished the day my sister passed from this world, the bravest part of me. I am now a shell without my little sister in my life, the hole in my heart never to be filled again with her smile or her laughter. Jasmine always thought of me as her hero. That was wrong. She should have been, and now is mine. Jazz, I am so sorry I failed you. Rest now. You are free from the pain of this existence. I will always love you, sis, and we'll see you again. Maybe this time I will play one hand dominoes. That's it.